there is a spin-off. We talked about this before, but there actually is a spin-off, a prequel of Harrison. I want to say Harrison. Fuck. There's that's my mind. We'll talk about that. But there is a prequel series to Dexter coming, everybody. And Dexter New Blood happened. We talked about that before. That was big because they want to give Dexter an ending. But now we have a spin-off, a reboot, a redo of new Dexter stuff happening. And Dexter is a kid. Oh, I just dropped some shit. I've been drinking. Let me start again. Woo! Reboot of Dexter happening, and Dexter is coming back again as a child. And now they've been casting, going back and forth. And Patrick Gibson, Christian Slater, and Molly Brown have been cast in the new Dexter prequel series. You might say, who are these people? Well, Patrick Gibson was in the OA, which I watched that show. It was all right. It was a little bit weird, but I'm like, this guy, he kind of looks like playing Dexter. Christian Slater as Harry. Okay, I guess I see it, but I would still say just cast the same actor. He played like youngish, oldest the whole show. He still looks good. Just cast him as Harry again. But whatever. I love Christian Slater. He deserves a job. And on top of that, too, Molly Brown, I know she's been in a bunch of stuff. She was in Law and Order. She was on Marvelous Miss Maisel, Evil. She's been around. She's been working. But I just say this. At the end of the day, why are we doing this? We saw flashbacks during the whole Dexter show of him as a kid. But now we're going to go back and look at the premise. The premise right now, we're going back to 1991. 1991, 15 years before the events of Dexter. And the official logline says this: Dexter transitions from student to avenging serial killer when his bloodthirsty urges can't be ignored any longer. Dexter must learn to change his inner darkness with the guidance of his father, Harry. And he adopts and decides to adapt that into a way to help. And he starts to kill people who deserve to be eliminated from society without getting on law enforcement's radar. And this particular challenge from youth begins to influence himself, and he becomes a young intern at a forensics department at the Miami Metro. Why are we doing this? I mean, I hope it does well for Showtime, but why? Why are we doing this? I mean, honestly, at the end of the day, here's what I'll say this. Like, I love Dexter. I have loved Dexter since... Well, I first started watching Dexter. I'll say this about all you. I watched Dexter on a whim. I remember I was on Showtime when it came out, and I started watching. And Michael C. Hall was really hard to get into at first, but the idea and the process what they went through, I think, was great. It took some time. A little weird, a little odd. He's a serial killer. At the end of the day, though, like, it worked because it was Dexter. We did New Blood. I wasn't so excited about that. Quad says it sounds interesting. Yes, it does sound interesting. But let me pitch you something new, Quad. Something new. You're looking at right now the cast of Harrison. And what's Harrison? Well, Harrison was something we made about a spinoff of Dexter's Kid. And that's where they should be going with this. And you know what? Copyright infringement, if they fucking go after us, I'll stop them. But I think at the end of the day... dead. you go forward, you go back. And we saw this shit before on Dexter. We saw Harry and Dexter figuring it out. They laid all this out on TV. We talked about this before. I think it was the three of us together before talking about this. But now we have casting. Now we have movement. Now we have plot details. We said the same thing before. Why are we doing this? We already know this story. We know this fucking story. Harrison figures it out. He kills people. He gets involved in my Metro, and then he's fine. What do we get from this? What do we get? And I had a friend, my friend Peoples, who edits a lot. He literally said, like, he goes, I hope Sony fucking fails and goes bankrupt. And I'm like, well, maybe, because the idea they should do is take the next step forward. And me as a creator and a producer and everything else, you take the story of Dexter and you take a step forward, not go back. We already know Dexter's story. We know what happened. So why are we doing this or now? Why are we casting this? These people work, I guess, as Deb and Dexter and Harry. That's great. I love Christian Slater. Give him fucking a job. At the end of the day, you take this story and you actually evolve it. You don't go backwards. You don't de-evolve, you evolve. And to me, I'm very upset about this because I think that they should have thought that better. They should have seen our short, which I'll post. It's gonna be posted in this video for sure. And I think they should move forward. Ron.
Yes.
Dr. Danko himself. People are like, what's Dr. Danko? If you watch the books, Ron played Dr. Danko in our short.
Yes, he did.
Do you think this is the right move for Showtime with Dexter after New Blood?
I'm going to completely go opposite of you, Brian, and I think it sounds fascinating. I think getting more of an insight of him as a kid, I think is going to be very interesting and very telling.
Will that lead to multiple seasons, though, Ron?
I mean, I could see maybe a couple seasons, but no studio's going to do anything for one season. You know, they're never going to write something that they think they'll just go one season.
So true.
So it's like, I mean, it could go longer. You know, it depends. It depends on how many episodes are per season, because that could be an easy one. And then how deep they want to dive into this. And I love the fact that Christian Slater's in it. I love him, and you just don't.
I love Christian Slater.
I don't see him anymore, and he was so big.
But like Ron, like the breakdown, they said like the breakdown alone says like he's going to become an intern at the forensics department at Miami Metro. Is that too far for a first season?
I don't think so. Not with today's audience. It's just, you know, you got to go fast.
Do you think it's going to be like, okay, they start with him having tendencies, and then on top of that, okay, now he's going to start this because Harry wants him to have a job, and then they goes there.
Right. It's going to be quite a stretch, but it could.
It's a lot of time. It's a lot of time.
I guess it depends on what could be leading up to the tendencies of wanting to do that, because that could take some time.
Well, here's what I say though. I get it, Ron. I love backstory.
Right.
And do you think though, Ron, this could lead to like, okay, we get Dexter's beginnings, we have his end, we have his beginnings. Is his future next?
No, I think this would just about do it. I do.
You think they won't do any more beyond this?
I don't think that there would be. No, I don't think so. I don't see that. I think a lot would hinge on this and where it's going to go. But I think we would be pretty satisfied as a whole with this.
Are we screwed, Ron? Because with the Harrison, are we screwed? Are we? I want to ask her now. Are we screwed?
That sucks. As soon as I read that breakdown today, I'm like, oh wow, quite possibly.
But did you watch New Blood?
I watched a fair half of them.
Okay, so you didn't see the ending then?
I did not see the ending. No, no.
So
no.
It's been long enough. You mind if I spoil it for a second and tell you what happens?
That's fine.
So at the end, God, it really tore my soul apart when I watched New Blood, because I'm like, when they came back to it, I'm like, oh, this could be really good for Harrison. I mean, the kid's like supposed to be like 18, you know, and he goes to find his dad, right? And at the end, he shoots and kills his dad. Okay. But, you know, Dexter's like on the ground, bleeding out, run Harrison. Harrison runs, we cut to whatever. So we don't actually see Dexter really being dead.
Right.
You know, when Harrison goes in the run. And for me, and for the audience out there as well, because this is really a conversation about what we wanted to do for the show on top of the actual show. For me, it was like Harrison runs away. So for me, I'm like, oh God, he runs away, right? We cut to 15 years later. Right? Mm-hmm. He's 35, 36. He's found his way back to my metro, and Dexter reappears and he's not actually dead.
I like that.
You know?
Yeah.
And it's a way of making an actual real story where Harrison's a man. Because in the show, he's a fucking bitch. I'm not gonna lie, he's a bitch in the show. He's not right, GR?
Oh yeah.
Like, I'm not gonna lie. When I first saw him, because my imagination of what Harrison's supposed to be in my mind, because when we first started doing the show, again, I'll post Queen, everybody else, the short we made. My idea was that Harrison was supposed to be like, you know, a different kind of person, different kind of monster, if you will. His, and I'm like, wow, they really could have messed him up. But also the way it ended, I'm like, oh, he could still become that monster.
Yeah,
he could still become that way. Mm-hmm. And so maybe Showtime had no idea how to do it because they didn't talk to Brian Kruse, and they did their own thing. But I think we still have a chance. I think we still have a chance.
Okay, I do like the way you're looking at that, and I can believe in that. Yeah.
And Dr. Danko can pop in as like the first fucking season. He has to. He has to. Yeah.
Yes.
I'm sorry, GR. You're probably dead in the first episode. I'm sorry.
Hey, well, shit. If I'm going to get killed, at least you fed me to my own dogs.
GR, you hear about this though. Do you think that the Dexter prequel is good for the lore of Dexter? Will it help bring more people into it, or is it another teeny bopper type thing that won't add anything to the franchise?
Well, I can see what Ron was saying, but I think it'll bomb like beyond words.
Oh,
you don't think so? Doesn't do well. You don't think at all?
I just don't think it's the kids. Today, the viewers today don't have the background of watching Dexter originally.
Mm-hmm.
And so
a little bit of time.
The guy's a killer. What are we going to watch that for? You know. And unless you can really jump that 15 years in the first 20 minutes, you're not going to have viewers.
Well, it's true, but do you think that Showtime even knows they're doing the Dexter character anymore?
No, obviously not. If they would have bought Harrison.
I agree with you there. That's an inside deep cut right there, GR.
Yeah.
You know,
I'm just being honest, guys. You asked my opinion. That's it.
I just saw this, and this is like I was really hoping to have like Tim on tonight. Unfortunately, Tim, who was our director of Harrison, we did a short called Harrison, got into a car accident this week, and it was like a drunk driver hit him. And I was trying to get him on the show tonight, and he's we put our prayers and our thoughts out to him to get better. But
amen to that.
You know, and I wanted to have like a deeper dive into the Dexter lore thought process, but I think there's a lot that you can capture with a serial killer like this, and what the ramifications are. Like Dexter, if you watch Dexter, how he was trying to hide it for a long time. He dipped his sister into the ocean at the very end, and then she comes back in New Blood as a consciousness in his brain and messes with him. And like what that character goes through, then a kid comes back into his life. I think there's a lot of psychological ideas that could be. Yeah, Ron, get in there.
I wanted to, with what GR was saying, I find the story subject fascinating enough that people would tune in, that I find it interesting. And they don't need to have a backstory, really. I mean, that'll play itself out and you could be like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But it's not like you need that backstory initially to tune in. It's because it's an interesting subject.
You know, I can see where you're coming from, Ron, because, I mean, people have no concept of killers.
Right.
I mean,
that mind.
And
yeah.
And I'm you know, I don't want to bring my life into it, but I did it for a living for our government. Right? And when you kill somebody, I don't care how cold and calculating you are, it stays with you. I mean,
forever, right? Forever.
Every person I took down in Vietnam, I remember to this day. I can tell you, the look on their face, what they were, not who they were, because I didn't know them.
No, but you see the look in their eyes.
Yeah, and
as a sniper, you see it 100%.
Well, it takes
you're so close, but so far away, right, GR?
Well, how do I put it? It's why you and your dad and I became close that quickly, you know.
I know. I was still frustrated.
The difference between a soldier and a sniper, which is what I was for those of you that don't know, is that when you shoot somebody as a soldier, you don't see them. You see something in the distance, and he's the bad guy, so you shoot him.
Like a video game.
Whereas a sniper is more like what Dexter and Harrison.
Well, it's the same. It's the same shit though. Dexter's like these are villains. You know, that's it.
But the difference is it's up close and personal. I mean, a soldier shoots you, you're dead. You're a bad guy. Nothing. When you kill somebody in person, it's up close and personal. And you don't. It's not something you just say, "Oh, he's dead."
And it saves you forever, right?
You know, in April of next year, it'll be 50 years since I killed anybody, but I still can remember every damn one of them right here, and it will never, ever go away.
You're not encouraged killing people on cruise control, but that's a different time.
And I'm sorry, folks, if that offended any of you. It was part of the subject of what we're talking about.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys.
Well, Thirsty Daddy, we appreciate your service, the time it happened, and it takes its toll on the psyche and everything else, and who you are, what you're meant to be, what you think you should be, what your life is meant to be. And at that time, especially when you were a kid, I can't imagine. I mean, I grew up in a time where I was very lucky that I wasn't pushed to do that kind of thing.
I'm knocking on wood for you, Brian.
Well, yeah. I mean, I feel like I'm old enough now where it won't happen. But to be at that age where it's like you're not really forced, but you kind of are in a lot of ways to delve into that world of being such an adult that you never expected to be. It's like I can't imagine, GR. Because like, you don't expect that. You don't need that. You don't want that. But like, that's your obligation.
In Vietnam.
I know, but they make it your obligation though.
Yeah. You were a baby.
When the war ended, I was 21 years old.
That's
what they tell you. And what they tell you, GR? They said you did great for your country when it was done, right?
Bye. Thanks for working. Get out of here.
But they also probably were like, everything you did, because you have to say that, but you have to say that. You have to. Like, everything that you did was for a reason. You know?
And everything I did, and this is all I can say, because I've told you a couple of cute stories over the years, Brian, but I can't tell you what I did. It's still all classified.
Of course you can't.
I mean, I can't even tell your dad. He was there, and that I can't tell him.
I love my dad. Well, you guys were in different situations, and my dad was a mechanic. It's a lot of different things, But again, it's the same thing with fucking Dexter. It's like Dexter was told that was right. That's what's right. And that's where stories like this come into fruition and become a real thing, and that's just what it is. And GR, I thank you for
when this bombs. Maybe Showtime will say, "Oh, maybe we should look at that Harrison."
We're gonna do Harrison. It's only gonna fuel us to it. I'm so sorry that Ron keeps dropping up. I don't know what the hell happened to the feed, but it's only gonna fuel it. And I think this prequel, I get what Ron's saying. GR, I think that the idea of the backstory, the idea of who Dexter was before is a good idea, but I think that they're missing out on the point of the whole narrative, GR. And the whole point of the narrative is this. It's a person that has some very fucking dark tendencies. And his dad adjusts those tendencies for good. That's the narrative of Dexter. And because he knows his kid is going to be locked up forever. That's it. And so he figures a way out so his kid can still live. Because he loves his fucking kid. Like, if you're a parent, you love your fucking kid. So the narrative is, I read the books too, is find a way for your kid to survive. But this is diving into more.
Ron back.
Yeah. So I was saying, Ron, is like the narrative of Harrison or Dexter was to find a way for your kid to survive.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Not like what Harry wanted was not to make his kid kill people.
Mm-hmm.
It was because he loved his kid so much that he found a way to make the kid's life make sense. And for Harrison, or for this prequel series, Dexter, that's why I'm a little bit not sold on it, because it feels like a spinoff. But I'm also like, the depth of it, of course, you see it now, but during the show, it made sense. It's like a father loving his kid so much, like, I have to make sure my kid doesn't die.
Mm-hmm.
And
can I just say something to one of yours?
yeah.
Jack, thank you. I appreciate he's thanking me for my service, but
Yes.
I appreciate that, Jack. Back in the day, we didn't get that.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, I'm sorry to interrupt.
Didn't happen.
Go ahead.
But I was going to say with moving forward is like, I think that's why Harrison works, because it's the idea of like the child doesn't have the reasoning from their father or their mother or their whoever they are, who is their parent, you know, they don't have that. And so what does that cause that person? Not having somebody to tell them, you can be this person, but in a certain way. And I think that's what they're missing for going to prequel. And I think the prequel would be fucking great, Ron. I think it'd be great. I love the idea that I think this Gibson, he was great in the OA. I don't ever watched the OA. He was great in the OA. And he kind of looks like Michael C. Hall. He kind of has the hairline, the look, the Irish kind of like the very pale look of him. Mm-hmm. But I just think that they're missing a lot of what the idea of being who he was without moving forward. Mm-hmm. But you know what? They're missing all three of us to make that happen. So, you know what's gonna be great one day when it actually happens for us? This gonna be fucking great. It's gonna be great.
We'll all be stars, darling.
Well, it's gonna be a whole different narrative, and I think that. Well, we'll all be stars, and we'll show what it means to go through psychological despair to find yourself again.